Gui Cavalcanti?
Hello.
Welcome to Rome, Gui.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm doing very well. We are opening the conference in this very difficult year. It's a great achievement for us. All the maker community.
Yeah,
It's again running.
it's been quite a year. It's a very strange and different year, but I'm happy that Maker Faire continues, and we
I
are
was
we are
telling that in
continuing
the
to
United
do the
States
thing.
it has been more complicated also because from the top, without naming anyone, the message was COVID is not serious. You don't need to wear any mask. And from the bottom,
Yes.
people like the maker community were making stuff to protect people health.
Yes. Yes. So we had a response where everybody wanted to help and didn't know how, right? So we had makers across the U.S. and across the world that had to shelter in place, that had to stay at home, but saw that there was a problem. We had stories very early on here about the situation in Italy and how they were running out of supplies, and how there were ventilators that were necessary. There were other supplies, and every maker in the U.S. wanted to help, wanted to prevent that kind of situation, but didn't know what to do. So I originally set out to make a ventilator, open source ventilator, pulling people into a Facebook group and saying, "Hey, we have to do this. We have to help." And then I called my college advisor, and she works at the VA here in San Francisco, and she said, "Look, we don't need ventilators. We can have all the ventilators in the world, but if we run out of ICU physicians, it doesn't matter, because you can't help people if you don't have the doctors necessary. And right now, doctors don't have PPE. Doctors don't have other medical supplies. They're already running low. That's what we need." And so very, very early on, within a few days, we switched from ventilators to open source medical supplies and said, look, we need to help makers across the world make things safely that doctors are actually going to use. So we focused on medical supplies. That included masks, that includes face shields, that includes stethoscopes, that includes, you name it. And we are trying to find designs for it, and we are trying to catalog them on our website. You can see that at opensourcemedicalsupplies.org. But we had 70,000 people join the Facebook group in the first month, all over the world. We saw people submitting designs for different types of masks, different types of face shields, all sorts of things.
So sorry,
And
so the group was on Facebook? So Facebook was
yes,
the
it was a
place?
Facebook group called Open Source COVID-19 Medical Supplies.
Yeah. Because
This turned into a company.
Because usually we talk not nicely about Facebook. People don't love Facebook, but Facebook was the place where the makers were gathering during the...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for our group in particular, it was Facebook. And usually there are not many nice things to say, but in this case, it did help us connect a global community. It helped us translate messages back and forth, because on the Facebook platform you click see translate and you can read whatever language people post in. And so you get to share this information very easily back and forth. And that was huge. We saw people, starting with designs for face shields that were like, use these scissors and cut up 2-liter bottles and then put them on your face, right? And then people said, no, 3D print this headband and then put a shield on the front and then wear it. And then people said, oh, that's too slow, right? And then said, okay, we're gonna make this entire thing in a laser cutter, so you fold it up and you put it on your face. And then people said, that's too slow. Now we have to injection mold this face shield. And now we're making hundreds of thousands and millions of these things. So you get to see this evolution of design over the course of many, many weeks on the Facebook group. We would see people helping each other across disciplines. So we'd have sewists come in and share their patterns for cloth masks, and then say, I love this pattern, but it takes me a day to make one. And then other people would update the pattern and say, hey, this is faster. And then we'd see some makers pop up and say, here's a tool that you 3D print that helps you fold fabric automatically. And now instead of making 1 mask a day, it's 10 masks a day, right? With just slight tweaks to this open source pattern. And then, you'd see doctors coming into the group and they say, hey, we have to wear these N95 masks all day long. We've never had to before. The skin on my ears is chafing. The skin on my cheeks is chafing. And you'd see makers say, oh, we've printed you an ear saver, which is just a little plastic piece behind you that you hook the mask onto. So now the mask doesn't use your ears. The mask uses the plastic printed ear saver behind your head. So you see invention of medical supplies in this group.
Look,
we saw. So go ahead.
It has been a terrible and terrific year at the same time, like in a Charles Dickens novel, I would say.
Yes.
And do you think the worst is over?
I don't think so.
We are still in the fight.
We're still in the fight. I think, the fight is everywhere. I think there are things that makers have done that have made their communities much, much safer. But I think, the world is very large. And it's hard to protect everyone without the help of governments, especially with the misguided help of governments. And, the best that we can do is protect ourselves, protect our loved ones, protect our communities.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do at Open Source Medical Supplies is give people the tools to do that.
Gui,
Go ahead.
Gui, in 30 seconds, let's try to look forward. Which is your big dream for next year?
I dream that we can take this foundation, all of these people all over the world, and we can start to talk about how to democratize health, right? How to make it not just, you have the ability to make things, but you have the ability to take care of, the people you love in your communities with these supplies for any number of illnesses, right? Not just COVID, not just the emergency, but, hey, let's make crutches, let's make wheelchairs, let's make, all of these things that are very expensive for people all over the world and inaccessible for people all over the world. And now that we realize that we can make things to take care of ourselves, right? Let's widen the scope. Let's make it not about just the emergency, but about improving the quality of life of people on Earth.
Very good, Gui. Thank you so much. It's a big dream.
That's what I love.
It's a very big dream.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.